Hey guys, welcome back to lesson 4 of our level designer series. This time we're going to be looking at how to collect items using our player or character avatar. And we're also going to look at how we can keep track of or count how many items we have collected. So let's begin. Right. The first thing you'll want to do is you'll probably want to draw your own picture in Piscal app or any other app of your choosing. And just remember that the default size in Piscal app is 32 pixels by 32 pixels. And that also happens to be exactly the size of one tile in our game as well. So once you've got that, you can export that from Piscal app, right? You can download that, which I've already done. I've called it present.png file. And you'll want to import that into Stencyl here. So I'm going to do that with you guys right now. I'm going to create a new actor. So either here, create new, or over here. And I'm just going to call this present. So whatever theme your game happens to be, these could be all sorts of different items. And let's see, we'll click in here and we'll click on add a frame. Again, you guys should start being familiar with the flow of this now. Okay, remember scaling should be 1. And that's pretty much it. So let's add that, okay? And you also see size down here is 32 by 32. Okay, so that means you've done that correctly. So what you can do now is you can start plopping these items that your character is meant to collect on your screen. Okay. Now, we haven't written any code for our character to collect these presents yet. So even if you tested the game out right now, if the character touches these, nothing really happens. Okay. And one more important thing, let me just test this game out with you guys, just so you can see what we're going to be doing next. We'll be fixing 2 things. The first thing is you'll see that these presents are going to fall down. If you watch really, really carefully, don't blink your eyes as it loads up. You'll see all the presents will fall down like that. Okay, so we'll fix that. And of course, when my character moves over the presents, nothing happens. Okay, so let's get into what we'll need to do there and fix that. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is go over to collisions, and we're going to tick is a sensor. A lot of times, Stencyl simulates sort of like a real-world physics. So when your character runs into a present, it looks like he's actually kicking it, or he's bumping into something. So ticking as a sensor prevents that real-world physics almost from happening. So tick as a sensor, and you can also just bypass everything here and say it cannot move. Okay, so cannot move automatic means it can't rotate and it cannot. It's not affected by gravity. Okay, you could do them one by one, but really you just go straight there and say cannot move. Right, so that will prevent these presents from falling down because they're not affected by gravity. And what you'll want to do is we're going to create an event here, and we're going to tell the computer to remove the presents when our character touches them. Okay, so we're going to write that code right now. Okay, so back under present, right? Present events. We're going to add an event, and we're going to go under collisions. And this time, we're just going to select when this actor collides with something else. That didn't really work. Let's try that again. Okay, so when this actor hits something else, what do we want to do? Sounds a little bit strange, but we're going to go into actors, and we're going to go to properties. We're going to do something really ruthless. We're going to kill itself. Okay, so killing it just means removing it, but it's just the way this game presents it. It calls it. So we kill ourself. The self is the present. Okay, so I'm going to say I'm going to say collect items here. Okay, but really it's to the game that we're killing it. Okay, so let's test that out. And the last thing we'll look at in the last part of this is how to have a counter. So we're going to count how many presents we've collected. Okay, so if we run into them, whoop, okay, it's not working. Okay, there's one more thing that we'll need to do. So you can see that the character just moves straight through the present. So why is that? Okay, now the answer lies in the properties here. So even though we wrote the code for it, the properties over here, these groups, okay? So right now, the present is of the group actor. And if we edit that, we can look at and see that actors cannot touch players, okay? So what's going on? Why is that? Okay, if we double click on my Ultra Mega Man character and look at the properties of him, we can see that Ultra Mega Man is of a group player, okay? And my present is an actor. So if we look at this, actors cannot collide with other players. This is not green. Okay, so these collision groups are maybe what we could call rules that determine what is allowed to happen before we apply the code to it. Okay, so they're like game rules, right? So if you don't follow the game rules, it doesn't matter what you do in the game, it doesn't work. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to actually create a new grouping. Let's try to click on that again. Okay, I'm going to call this items. And I'm going to say that items can collide with players. Okay, so players and items can interact with each other. And also remember to now set this to items. Okay, so now when we test our game, that present should be, it can collide with the player, which is Ultra Mega Man is a player. And so that should work now. All right, just wait for Stencyl to compile that. Okay, so let's try that out. Oh, that's looking pretty good. Okay, and let's go and collect a few more. Oh, okay. Anyways, that does work. Okay, so now let's do one more thing is, let's also show maybe how many items that we've collected. So what you'll want to do is, you want to get back into your coding here. So under present events, we're going to create a game attribute or variable. So I'm going to click on create new, and we'll call this present. Okay, and in computer science terminology, we always call these things counters because we're counting how many we've collected. Okay, and the starting value for that is going to be 0. And so our presents are going to be, we're going to set it to, is it here? No, it's not. So yeah, this is a bug. You've probably seen this in my other tutorials. If you can't see the game attribute that you've created, close this down, and we just reopen that. Double click on present, and you should see it under game attributes now. Okay, so we're gonna set, oh sorry, maybe I just wasn't looking in the right place. Okay, so set present counter to, and we're gonna get that. We're gonna set to present counter plus, I'm just gonna put it all together, 1. Okay, and again, just a little bit of review maybe from my other tutorials. This means we're just gonna increase the present counter to whatever it was, what it is now, plus 1, okay, and we're going to update that. So increase the present counter by 1. Okay. Now, of course, we can't actually see it on our screen unless we tell the computer to show it. So in your level, right, we did all this coding under the present, okay? So in your level or your scene, go to events, and first thing I'm going to do actually while this is actually here, I'm going to go to game attributes, and it's always a good idea to make sure you set your counter variable to 0, okay, so that each time it reloads your game, it'll always be 0 and it'll be ready to go. So set present to 0. Okay, and the last thing we'll need to do is under drawing actually, and we're going to draw a little bit of text here. And if you don't know where this is, this should be under numbers and text. No, under drawing, sorry. So under drawing, you'll see draw text, which is what I've got here. Okay, you could put in some values here, 50, 50, 10 by 10. Okay, and we're going to throw under game attributes, we're going to get the present counter here. Okay, so we're just going to throw that all together now. We've ensured that the present counter is 0 when we begin our game, and that we're going to show our present counter